Welcome to the 115th AOE meet today. This month we have birthdays of some very special people. We have had a chance to wish them earlier, but today in the meeting we wish them again. Happy birthday Veer, happy birthday Sanjeev, happy birthday Arjun. You have been on our desk through the month and will remain here till the month end, and we'll keep remembering you. The quotation on this month's calendar is very apt for all three AOENs, which says if you are not willing to risk the usual, you will have to settle for the ordinary. Today we have some exciting people speaking to us. Mr. Vikas Jain, who is going to talk about subjects about which Baljit is a specialist. I don't understand so much, but I'm sure this will be useful to many of us. Mr. Sumit Handa, also from ICICI Bank. We have our wisdom session by Mr. Learned Sanjeev Narayan. And our past chairman, Naveen Sardana, will be our internal speaker today. About AOE, this organization was formed by like-minded entrepreneurs. You see, sometime back, there was this set of people who used to meet at different forums from different age groups, from different kind of backgrounds, all entrepreneurs. The common thing was that we all liked each other. And we used to think that the good things happen in our life because of good thoughts in our mind. And these good thoughts are in our mind in the first place because of good people in our life. So we decided to one day form an session where we meet at least once a month with the intention of sharing wisdom and knowledge, building relationship with fellow members, learning from guest speakers. You see, entrepreneurship is a very lonely journey. All entrepreneurs know this. So the kind of session we are able to form here over the years are phenomenal. We were registered as a non-profit society way back in, and have been meeting since August 2012, usually on third Saturdays. Before Corona, we used to meet physically in India Habitat Center. And we also used to have some great interactions with families at the AOE socials and annual days. After 2 years, this year we had a social. I hope the sound also. This is from part of our social. Some of the pictures from this year's social, which all of us with our families thoroughly enjoyed. The pillars of these organizations were Mr. Veer Sagar, our founder chairman, who was our chairman for 5 years, and the subsequent chairman, Mr. Naveen Sardana, who did great work in not only building the organization, but also in continuance, even through tough times. This is the current managing team, apart from me. I'm the chairman, Mr. Naresh Vij is the vice chairman, Mr. Baljit Singh is the general secretary, Mr. Vikas Rajput, the treasurer, Mr. Avinish Seth, the secretary, Mr. Tejinder Singh Bedi is our executive, and Mr. Veer Sagar and Naveen Sardana, the past chairmen, are part of our managing team. We have some excellent members. They are listed on our website, aoeindia.in, where not only we share information about members, we also have recordings of all our past meetings, which, I mean, all the links to YouTube and everything is available here. This website has been developed thanks to our fellow AoEan, who Abhijit Roy, who is right now celebrating his company's annual day with all his virtually working employees in Goa. So they are also having a physical meeting there. We are there on YouTube. And our Facebook effort this year was one of the AOENs had taken responsibility, but not much work has done there. If any one of us is willing to put in some effort and do some good work here, that would be most welcome. We have amazing mentoring arrangement that has developed in the last 1 year, spearheaded by our mentors, Mr. Veer Sagar, Mr. Sanjeev Narayan, and Mr. Rajiv Shankar Mathur. Not only are we grateful, but they are doing some great work. This is a kind of brief agenda on what we are going to see today. So we now move on to our next item on the agenda, which is our one-to-one sessions. Vikas, can I request you to take over, please?
Sure, sir. This month I had two one-to-ones. One-to-ones are a great way of knowing each other and fellow members. And we have been pushing all the AOE members and requesting them to have one-to-ones with their fellow members to know more about them. I had the privilege of having two detailed one-to-ones. So one with Naresh Vikas at his home, where we discussed about our current ventures, where we both are partnering, and also decided to take it further by forming a small association and including more people into that. So that was a very fruitful conversation with him. Secondly, I met Abhijit also at his virtual office, and we had detailed discussion about taking my part of business towards in US and trying something new. So fingers crossed, some positive output will surely come out of it. So these are the two one-to-ones which I had, and I'll request other members to please tell the group about their one-to-one. Thank you.
I had a one-to-one with our founding chairman, Mr. Veer Sagar. He was kind enough to come to one of my exhibition stalls and spend some time with me. His presence, as it is inspiring. The man has turned 80, and I mean, he's almost like his school's motto. His school's motto, I am told, was never given. Right. So continues to work. It was a great discussion with him. Anyone else has had a one-to-one? So I think we move on to our guest speakers, if that is okay. Our first guest speaker today is Mr. Sumit Handa. He is a result-oriented MBA with extensive experience of 20 years in retail banking, client relationship, sales, and team management. He has done BA Honors Economics from Delhi University. Currently, he is Regional Head of Sales Payment Solutions Group at ICICI Bank. He is competent in implementing effective solutions to customer needs with an aim to improve customer contentment and consequently customer loyalty, repeat and referral business. Mr. Sumit Handa, can you please?
Thanks so much for having given me the opportunity to share a different solution from ICICI Bank. I'll take you through a very basic, simple kind of a payment solution, which we coin as a pay direct card. This is actually a prepaid instrument regulated by the Reserve Bank, and RBI, as ICICI Bank is one of them, offering this in the industry today, used for various purposes. I'll take you through the profile of the product and benefits to various corporates. Thanks to Mr. Bedi for having understood the solution and giving us an opportunity here. And to all of you know. The agenda shall be what the pay direct card is, its features, its purpose, how it benefits the corporates, the card holders, why should one avail this product from us, what are the benefits, and how the process flow happens. Pay direct card is a chip-based reloadable card that allows a card holder to spend up to the amount of pre-deposited into the card. It is actually a virtual account created on the system without a checkbook. It is just an ATM cum debit card. As you saw on the first screen, it is a chip-based ATM cum debit card used and issued to an individual, a solution which is availed by a company for its utility to be used in various forms, which various forms could be payroll for frontline labor, it could be for impressed purposes, it could be for petty cash, it could be for incentive schemes. For example, a big FMCG company could avail this solution for incentive schemes for retailers. A big construction company who would be using cash through its outsourced companies or directly to pay out its labor class can be using this solution. If you were to track your employees on reimbursement basis, which are getting routed into their salary accounts, can be routed through this. Now I'll take you through what are the benefits, where you can track and how you can catch. The only facility available on this is there's no checkbook. You can withdraw cash. You can use it on the POS machine. You can use it for fueling and refueling your vehicles, but only in India. This instrument is not valid outside India. It can be loaded through various modes. Instant and direct transfer can be done if you have a current account with us. It can also be done through NEFT. It can also be done manually by the bank staff. The card per se comes with a PIN as a security feature, just like you were to use an ATM card to withdraw cash with a PIN number, same is the case here. It also has a facility of blocking and unblocking the plastic through an app by the individual card holder. While issuing the card, complete KYC is done of every card holder. Loading, as I just mentioned, can be done through corporate internet banking if you maintain an account with us. If one doesn't, funds can travel to the card through NEFT, else through manual loading by the bank's operations team. We also have an edit features, which is auto upload facility, whereby as of now, the card's appetite is it can hold up to more than 100,000 rupees at any one point of time. If I was to create a funnel of 2 lakh rupees for this particular card, the statement or the balance would show 1 lakh. As in when you keep consuming the funds, the funnel will keep dropping funds into it. 10,000 gaye, another 10,000 will show up. So your card will again be at 1 lakh while the funnel will be holding only 90,000 rupees. How to use cash? It can be done at POS terminals to withdraw cash. It can be done through ATMs. A corporate as an entity availing this solution will have a self-care portal. One will be a self-care portal for the company, the other will be for the individual. Now, the company who's issued these cards to individual employees will be able to track the expenses through this portal. You need not approach the bank as you do for your current account or a savings account to see what is happening in which account looking for a statement. Here you log into the system and put in the card number. That is the account number. You can track if Sumit is your employee and using these funds for X kind of petty expenses. Every time reconciliation is to be done, you don't need a statement from the bank. Log into the portal, manage your MIS and track your MIS wherever the expenses are being done. This can be tallied with the bills submitted by the individual. The purpose where all this instrument is used is for salary payment, vendor payment, incentives, rewards to employees. It also serves the purpose of government subsidy and PF transfers, loan disbursement through card for microfinance institution companies, reimbursement to employees. For example, Indian Oil uses this for his petty cash expense management. I have various companies like Metro Tires as well, using this for impress purposes at different locations. EESL is one of our clients availing this for reimbursement to all employees. Also providing scholarship fees to students. This is very successful in Madhya Pradesh for scholarship purposes. Benefits to an individual corporate are instant payment. You don't need to wait for anything, either through the portal or through NEFT. Immediately funds can be transferred wherever the individual is holding the card. Your administration gets streamlined, reduces paperwork and headache, because if you're doing it online, it happens then and there. It reduces expenses because no paperwork is involved. It reduces any kind of risk as far as cash handling is concerned. We are first in the market as far as I just mentioned about auto upload, the kind of a funnel system we were talking about. It serves a lot of benefit to places where the advance amount is more than 100,000 rupees, gets customized accordingly. Why? Our solution in this case, a pay direct card, is the positives are we have our team spread across India for servicing the existing base of the customers who are already availing and for incremental business as well. We provide an online portal where corporates can easily load and reload the cards or look at auto top-up facility as the funnel term I had used. Also, to track their own MIS. This particular product, I have given you different names and different mediums. For example, payroll, petty, impressed. I've made a couple of companies also. Be it FMCG, where you can define an incentive scheme for the retailers, which was also done for a very respectable name in the country. 100,000 cards got lifted and spread across for incentive schemes. It's a very vanilla kind of a solution which can be customized basis the need of fund movement in the case where money has to go. KYC compliant processes. We have a 24/7 support for cardholders, whereby one can check the balancing inquiry, a last card loading reporting can be done, activation of a replacement card can also be done by the individual himself. Once the solution is accepted, get into an agreement, create a corporate ID on our system, get into a complete process as per the logistics defined by the client, the corporate, on how to issue the card to whom, get the card activated, load them, and the individual is free at convenience to use the card wherever the one feels like. That's my share of the details about the solution, sir. May I invite any questions, please?
Sumit, if a corporate is wanting to go ahead with this proposal of yours, is there any limit on the minimum number of cards which one has to take?
Sir, one can do a single card also, but we prefer about at least 10 cards. Depending on the situation, one can look at the opportunity.
And is there any limit of business, minimum limit of business, which bank says that you must have this much business with the bank for these cards?
Sir, no, sir, no, it doesn't. I'll tell you the appetite of the card. This card can hold up to a maximum of 1 lakh rupees at any one point of time. Annual funding is 10 lakh rupees per annum. So depending on the situation, depending on the purpose, one customizes solutions.
This actually sounds like a great idea for people, especially with companies who have people in the field. Right.
Yes, sir.
I wonder whether anybody would be using it for their salary, because I do not know how it is served, because who would want their transactions to be known to the company of the money that they get.
Sir,
right,
I'll address that. Yeah.
Yeah, but
go ahead, Mr.
Especially for people who are working, in the field, and company can even when they are on the field, their money can be replenished or whatever. So it should become very. It must be a very good solution. Very good.
So there are two sides to this question that you mentioned. One is why would want to route a salary to this. Two is reimbursement. First, salary where people at a lower level, for example, the salary itself, the manpower company where the earning itself is probably 10, 12, 13,000, that individual may not have an account.
Okay.
He may have some ID document, but not a normal savings account in a bank, like any bank, let me put it like that.
Okay.
So there it serves a purpose, and there is a lot of scope in the country today. We still have a lot of people who do not have an account. Though government did a lot of initiatives, government managed to convert a lot of people into banking, yet unfortunately there are people. And there is scope for my business. Coming to reimbursements. Yes, sir. A lot of companies who've been reimbursing in the past, the reimbursement has been going into his or her savings or salary account of the individual employee, which in principle should not, because that is not his income. So a lot of corporates avail this solution for routing their reimbursements or say travel advance also. That money belongs to the company, not the individual, whereby it gets tracked. I hope I managed to answer your query, Mr. Fisher.
Yeah, makes sense. Makes sense.
Two questions. One is this: is there any charges applicable on this card? Number one. Number two is the KYC applicable on the end user also?
Great. Thank you, sir. Yes, this is a chargeable solution. Per card, the charge is 250 joining fee and 250 annual fee. When we talk about ATM transactions, n number of transactions that an individual does on ICICI Bank ATM, there will be no charge. He may go and do every 1 hour, withdraw 100 rupees. But the moment one approaches a competition bank ATM other than ICICI Bank, every transaction is chargeable. Cash withdrawal attracts a charge of rupees 20 plus GST. Balance inquiry attracts a charge of 8 rupees 50 paisa plus GST. When I talk about the portal concept that I had shared off, that portal is available at an annual cost of 25,000 rupees per annum. Depending on the volume, we structure the deals and take it forward. At the time of agreement, the KYC of the authorized signatory of the company would be completed. At the time of issuance of the card, KYC of the individual will be added to the card. Because it is not that a company has purchased 10 cards and that's about it, cards keep getting rotating. It's to be issued to the individual, KYC of the individual to be completed with that card.
Thank you so much, Mr. Sumit. Thank you so much. We move on to our second speaker of the day, Mr. Vikas Jain. He's also from ICICI Bank. He has 16 years of work experience in NRI and Forex, presently working with ICICI Bank as Regional Head NRI and Forex. He is a BA Honors in Business Economics from Delhi University, with post-graduation in Business Management from ICFAI Business School and EMBA Finance from NIBM. His major responsibilities are customer focus, quality processing, and process improvements. Over to you, Mr. Jain.
I thank Mr. Bedi to invite me on such a forum and to interact with such a rich experience in here. So my privilege. Thank you again to invite me. And I'll be covering remittance under LRS allowed by Reserve Bank of India to resident Indians. And I'll also be covering as and when the resident Indian change their status from a resident to NRI. So under LRS, so basically LRS are a set of remittance guidelines from Reserve Bank of India, which specifies the purpose under which resident Indian can transfer up to USD 250,000 equivalent. The purpose of remittance include studies abroad, travel, maintenance, and other overseas investments. Per PAN card, the limit of annual financial year limit is 250,000 USD per financial year. Can transfer money overseas for the following purpose, basically. So one majorly the student under various purpose where when you have to transfer money abroad could be studies, personal gift, donations abroad, or expenses in connection with medical treatment, including abroad, immigration related expenses, employment related expenses, and overseas travel. So other two purposes wherein which is related, which comes under capital account transactions are investment abroad in equity or debt instruments, and or you're sending money overseas to your own bank account. These are the two. These are the reasons under which resident Indians are allowed to remit money abroad. And there is a recent change in guideline last financial year. If you are remitting more than 7 lakh rupees in a financial year, then the TCS has been applicable by the Government of India, which you can eventually ask for the refund while you file your taxes in India. So that's under LRS remittance abroad. So any questions if I can address that.
If an NRI is transferring his own funds from an NRO account to his account in USA or anywhere else, then this facility is available for that also?
Sir, in case of non-resident Indian, LRS is not applicable. So LRS is applicable for resident Indian. So if they're remitting from NRE account, there is no limit, sir. If you are remitting that money from NRO account, then the limit is 1 million USD per financial year equivalent. So while you said TCS will not be applicable to non-resident Indians, as and when any of us or our family members, friends, relatives move abroad for good. So for good, I mean to say, let's say if they are residing abroad more than 180 days with the visa type as a student or as an immigrant, or maybe as on a resident permit, leaving if they are on a business visa or they are on a medical visa abroad for medical treatment. Rest of the visas, if they are abroad for more than 6 months, we can treat them as a non-resident Indian. In that case, as per the FEMA guidelines also, they should convert their existing resident account to NRO account and open a new NRE. NRE is non-resident external account. Basically, that account is being used to park money, their savings, their earnings abroad in India, which is whatever interest is earned in NRE account is 100% tax-free. And NRO, wherein their local earnings, any income which is coming locally from India will be parked in NRO account. So going further, whenever they need money from India, it can be transferred from NRE to overseas back, or if they have a local source of income coming to NRO account, we can transfer money from NRO to overseas. As I said, limit applicable from NRO account is 1 million USD equivalent per financial year. And in that case, there is no TCS applicable, which is applicable in case of resident Indian. So as per FEMA guidelines, many people, as Mr. Bedi said, many people are not aware that we have to comply to FEMA guidelines and convert our existing resident account to NRO and open a new NRE account, and which is beneficial for the applicant also. Apart from, in addition to abiding by to FEMA guidelines, they also, in NRE account, whatever money they're sending to India, right? While most of the countries like US, UK, Canada, Australia, they hardly have any interest rate. They are kept at almost at negligible or 0% interest rate. While in NRE account, they can earn up to 3.5% tax-free. And if they make deposit in NRE account, they can earn up to 6.5% tax-free in India.
In the NRE account, the deposit that they make is in Indian rupees, or is it in foreign currency only?
So in NRE account, sir, whenever the money is sent from overseas to India, when it is credited in NRE bank account, it is converted to INR and credited in NRE bank account. However, the applicant has an option. If they want to maintain money in foreign currency only, they can send money as a FCNR deposit. So that is a fixed deposit in foreign currency. In that case, money will not be converted and can be kept as a foreign currency. So I just want to introduce two products which ICICI Bank is very unique in the market. No competition bank is offering that service. So we offer particularly for the applicants moving to UK and Canada. So we have got full-fledged branches in UK and Canada countries, sir. And we offer them full banking solution before applicants travel to Canada and UK and settle down there. So while they are in India and planning to move overseas, especially in UK and Canada, we offer them NRE and NRO accounts in India. At the same time, open their Hello UK and Hello Canada bank account before they leave India. So before they leave, they would have their UK bank settled or Canada bank settled, opened. They would have checkbooks and debit cards or overseas bank account in India, so that they need not to be traveling with a lot of cash with them. Number one. Number two, it will help fund their bank account from India before they leave India and carry the debit card as and when they are required to use the card on the way or even after landing there in the country. It will also help them building credibility. And because a lot of things in Canada and UK, you need to have a bank account. It's a credit worthiness which they build with having the bank account. So that can be used as a credit building a statement as well. So only this bank offers that in the market. No other bank offers that. So I'll be happy if in case any of your friends, family, relatives need such kind of bank accounts and service from us, we'll be good to service. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Sumit Handa.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, he explained use of Pay Direct card so well and left us all wiser to its use. I had not seen this type of solutions anywhere, and I'm giving this solution to my clients since it allows accounting easily and record can be kept. I thank Mr. Handa for sharing the use of this card, especially good for salesmen when they travel, and addition can be made online. He has already answered my query, but I thank him once again for being here in spite of he had some pre-work to be done. Thank you, Mr. Handa, for your being here.
Thanks so much for the privilege, sir.
Yeah,
I'm honored to be here with all the gentlemen. It's good to see all experienced people. Thank you so much, sir.
Great to have you with us. Mr. Vikas Jain has very well explained the most difficult thing. We have been doing FEMA for last 25, 30 years regularly before when it was formed, and before that FERA. The use of LRS is very high. We will require a lot of time, maybe one full session with Mr. Jain to help us with investments abroad. Thank you, Mr. Jain, for your time.
I'll be happy, sir. I'll be happy. Thank you, sir. Thank you. I'll be doing the privilege to speak to all of you. Thanks a lot.
We move on to our next session, which is a update on AOE mentoring. Though only one of the three mentors is around here today. So can I request Mr. Sanjeev Narayan, please update us.
Shishir, the mentoring sessions have been going well. We had one session in between, and now we are planning the next one, I think, next week. Mr. Bedi would probably have the details. I didn't know I was supposed to cover this, so I didn't really get an update. But we have a session scheduled next week for, I think it's
28th.
28th.
Yes, sir.
So we are carrying it forward and trying to find time. And I think the mentees also have become more responsive now.
Thank you, Sanjeev. And the next session also belongs to you, Sanjeev. We have a 5-minute slot for you. I mean, actually, we have a little more time if you wish to, on sharing whatever that you would like to, as we take it as part of our learnings from you.
I'll share a brief story which Warren Buffett, he related about his experience. And this is his pilot, his private pilot that he had by the name of Mike Flint. And very often, I mean, he had his private jet, and this guy, Mike Flint, was flying him all over the country. And just to give you a background, Mike Flint was an accomplished pilot because he was also the pilot for 4 previous US presidents. So you can imagine the kind of company Warren Buffett kept. So one day, Mike Flint wanted his boss to help him with his career planning. So he told him, he said, boss, can you help me with this? And so that I can sort out my career planning and what I need to do and my priorities in my career. So Warren Buffett told him, he said, okay, I'm going to try and do that for you. Why don't you sit down and list out what your top 25 priorities are? So this guy goes, he sits down and writes out his 25 priorities for his life and gives the list to Warren Buffett. He said, no, hang on. Now do me another favor. Now out of this list of 25, why don't you circle what you think are your top 5 priorities? So the guy goes back, Flint goes back, and he sits down again and he marks out the 5, what he thinks is the most important priorities for him. Now he says, okay, now what are you going to do? He says very clear. The first list that I have is what my top priorities are. And I'm going to make sure that I spend most of my time on this. And he said, what will you do with list B? He says, very, very clear. I'm going to keep it here. And whenever I have time from my list 1, I'm going to spend time on this so that, it's not going to take away my prime time, but at the same time, it's important for me. He said, Flint, you've got it all wrong. List 1 is fine, but list 2, what I call the B list, is a must avoid at all cost list. Must avoid at all cost list till you have achieved the goals that you have set, the first 5 in your list. Till then, forget about this. You just cannot even think about it. So you can't give any mind space, physical time, or diversion. So this, ladies and gentlemen, is focus that he talked about. And now when you look at in the current times, this focus has become even more important with the kind of distractions that we all have with the overload of information that is available to each one of us. So you can imagine that how easy it is to get distracted. And also the kind of opportunities that keep coming at you. So the message here is very clear. Remain focused with what you decide are your priorities and do not get diverted either side. So have the blinkers on real tight. And just to share with you, this is what we have done in our company. And I think we are very happy that we followed this approach. We in 1990 set up what we call a EMS company. EMS stands for Electronic Manufacturing Services. At that point of time, when we started the company, it was most of the people, we had to educate them as to what is EMS and what are the benefits of EMS. Though globally, it was $1 billion industry. And we remained focused on EMS in spite of all the other opportunities that came our way. We said, no, we are going to be doing only EMS, and we continued in that path. And also within EMS, you have large number of verticals. You could be into telecom EMS, you could be into the IT product EMS, you could be into the consumer electronic EMS. Out of that also, we selected only 3 or 4 verticals for first 10 years. And thereafter, we expanded. That is one message. Ladies and gentlemen, please remain focused.
Thank you so much, Sanjeev. What you just shared is inspirational stuff. Thank you. We move on to our next session, another from a very interesting person once again, our past chairman, Mr. Naveen Sardana.
Thank you, Shishir. I thought instead of just talking about my business, which we are doing currently, let me sort of talk about my 50 years in business and the number of mistakes I've made. In fact, I wish, my father was in service, and he wasn't even keen that I get into business because he was very conservative, had a very conservative thought process. But I was very keen because I think my uncles make money. So I was very keen to get into business. So unfortunately, there was nobody like Sanjeev Narayan to guide me at that time and mentor me. So I had a lot of ups and downs. In fact, in Hindi, you can say bahut papad bele. But yes, now when I look back on these 50 years, it's quite satisfying. We've ended up, well, God has been kind. We made money. So that's it. But I will tell you also about my failures and how it's been, and what the journey's been like. I did my schooling in La Martiniere, Calcutta, and my college with St. Xavier's, Calcutta. And as soon as I finished college, about 20, during college was from 6 to 9 in the morning, BCom honors. So during college, I used to spend time in my uncle's restaurant, Blue Fox. It was on Park Street. It was one of the prime restaurants in Calcutta in those days. In fact, Newsweek magazine had covered it and said it's one of the finest nightclubs east of the Suez. That's going back in early 70s. And so I was there for a couple of years. And after that, I came to Delhi because my father retired and he moved to Delhi, and I also moved. So he was a director in this company called, it was a kind of a family company, Sukhdeep Starch and Chemicals Limited. So I got the selling agency for Delhi and the surrounding areas. And they manufacture a lot of items. Starch is a basic product which is used in the paper industry, it's used in the pharmaceutical industry, and it's used in the food industry. And besides that, things like liquid glucose, which is used in the confectionery industry, then dextrose monohydrate, which is actually effectively your, you must have seen these green packets of Heinz, which is glucose D powder. So basically that's what dextrose monohydrate is, and dextrose anhydrous, which is actually used, it's a powder form, but it's basically, to put it in a very colloquial language, glucose drip, which is used in hospitals. But that we give in powder form, and the company is converted into liquid form as glucose drip. And there's maltodextrin powder, which is used in the food industry. But that is one thing I started. I took on that agency. And but there's always that desire that what else? And I was finding that, since I was basically a booking agent at that time, there was no investment. It was you book your orders and get your commissions. So, but one thing I saw was that, I didn't have the funds to really expand into chemicals because it needed huge requirement of funds to be trading in chemicals. And at that age of 22, 23, one was always strapped for money. So, so what I did was I went into a small business, which there's a company called Mature Beard Cell, and they were manufacturing threads. And so we started supplying their threads to the garment industry. And actually, I thought I was doing very well, but I think it was a big blunder because finally, after about a year, I realized that payments just weren't coming. I mean, whatever little capital I had was completely blocked with all these garment industries. And I decided, I think I better cut my losses and exit from that line because it was a very tough industry to handle as suppliers. Well, they were, of course, exporting on LC and all that, but I don't know, back to back, we were just not getting our payments for whatever reasons it was. So I continued with my starch industry and starch business. And I must tell you a very interesting anecdote that when I started business in Delhi, and I had hardly even done any sales, I went to meet a customer and he said that, we were talking, he said, yes, definitely we can work together. And he said, my turnover is so much. So whatever figure he took. Now he asked me what my turnover was. And I had no business. So I was wondering what to say. So I said, well, that's confidential. So then I said that and we carried on after that, Later on, we managed to do a fair amount of order booking with him. Then I tried my hand with another business, which was another blunder, actually. That was exports. I wanted to do exports of, friends of mine were doing some shoe uppers. So they were doing shoes, for the domestic market. And then they said, why don't you make uppers for exports? So I started in my garage in Sundarnagar, we were staying, that's where we were. And again, what happened was that little did I realize, I made some samples, etc. But in those days, India was not so open, and all the exports of shoe uppers were through SCC. And for me as a youngster of 24, 25 to get through that maze of bureaucrats and try to procure orders and supply and export, I found it overwhelming. So again, I sort of exited, but touch wood, my starch business was picking up very well. And I started focusing more on that, my starch, liquid glucose, dextrins. We grew fairly well in that business. And then, of course, came the time when I joined hands with my dear friend Baljit, who's sitting here. And I think, Baljit, that was in 89 or 90 or something that we decided that, I saw this ad in the newspaper. 88. I saw this ad in the newspaper which said dealers wanted for portable generators by Birla Yamaha. So, and Delhi was having immense amount of power cuts. So I said, look, this I think should be interesting. So I contacted them. Initially, they did not entertain us really. So we started doing a little business as sub-dealers with one of their dealers. But sooner or later, when they found that we had done a little bit of sale, in fact, a reasonable sale through the sub-dealers, they themselves came back to us and said, why don't you work with us directly? So those 10 years that we worked was, I would say, very profitable, ably assisted by Baljit's father, who was handling the workshop, God bless his soul. And those 10 years, I think we did fairly well. I mean, from 88 to 2000 till the power situation improved and the requirement for portable gensets. We did some diesel gensets also, imported gensets from Japan. And in fact, we struck some good orders with the army for supply of diesel gensets to Rwanda and Somalia. And but then what happened was that the portable genset business took a nosedive because the power situation improved and inverter quality of inverters had picked up. So that we did. But one or two good hilarious instances I can tell you about. One was, when again we had just started in portable gensets, and we just had one salesman who was there in the field and one peon in the showroom. And a customer walked in, and this peon called up the salesman asked him where he was, and he said wherever he was, he said, "Jaldi aao, murga phasa hai." So that was one. And the other one I remember, there was a lady who Baljit sold a genset to. And thank God I didn't sell it to her, because she called up Baljit, and one day she was going hammer and tongs at him because the genset was giving trouble. So I was sitting across the desk, and Baljit was facing her barrage. And for 5 minutes and went on and on till I think Baljit finally got frustrated. And he said, "Look, madam, why are you shouting so much at me? I'm not your husband." And that put an end to it. She stopped screaming at him, So these are a couple of hilarious instances we had together. But I must say, I mean, both of us were, had a lot of confidence in each other. And when we decided to close the business, we parted very well, very amicably, and still very good friends till today. A lot of people look at us and say, how did you do partnership and part so well, but that God has been kind to both of us.
Very good partnership, 20 years of very good partnership.
Was it 20 years or 12 or 13, 14 years?
We closed in 2008.
Finally, okay.
Finally, we closed in 2008, yeah.
Okay. I was trying to recollect whether we closed in 2002 or 2004 or something.
2008
anyway.
we closed.
Acha. So that was great. And but meanwhile, then of course, what I did do was this. One of the executives who was working in Birla Yamaha, he moved to this new company was coming in from Spain, Kata Appliances, an Indian collaboration, and they were bringing in these high-end built-in appliances for the kitchen industry. And he offered me that distribution for Delhi, which I took. Now that was again a good decision, because for about 7, 8, 10 years, I did that distribution and we made good money. The problem was that the company packed up because of bad management. The Spanish guys were not happy with the collaboration. And so unfortunately that came to an end. But the big upside of that was that we were supplying and dealing with the modular kitchen fitted furniture industry. And my son, Nikhil, who had just finished his education from Warwick in UK, came back to India and he said that I will set up, he found that it's supplying to the kitchen industry, he wanted to go into the kitchen and wardrobes itself. So that's how we started. And that's where finally I told him, through all my years of this experience, I said, now you started this. And just what Sanjeev was telling us right now, I told him, now you just focus on this. Don't go here. I was just sort of, haath pair marne wali baat thi. We lost, we made, but, finally, I think this was, I guess Sanjeev Touchwood has done great. I'm also quite satisfied. It's not that. But I think now when I look back, there were a lot of mistakes. And in the kitchen industry, Nikhil is very focused. He's running it, and that's our Living Luxuries. And that has been going on now for many years. Now let me tell you about the learnings, which I tell my son. And the one thing I told him was, I had done business, but I hadn't done it for myself. I felt I'd spend more time companiyon ki naukri karna, because if you're a distributor, when they appoint you, they come and promise you the world. But when you actually get into the business, you are, when you made your big buck investments into their products, then they start dictating terms. And then what happens is that when you're doing better and better, they start cutting you down to size. They'll cut down your territories, they'll cut down your discounts, and, all kinds of things. And this has happened twice or thrice with us, So one thing I told Nikhil is that please be your own master. You source from wherever you want, supply you wherever you want. Be your own boss all the way through. That's it. Of course, now what I've done is, since he didn't come into any of my businesses, which I was doing my distribution of kitchen appliances, we offer it now as dealers. We are not distributors. We offer the best appliances, but they're all as dealers. So I decided to wind up my distributions, and I'm still very busy doing my original business, which is the starch and chemical business. And touch wood, that is our mainstay today. And at the end of it, it's been quite satisfying. And so that's it, my life's journey. In 50 years, that's my life journey.
Official, thank you, Naveen. Association with you has always been great, even before AOE when we met. And at AOE, your contribution is something that we all know from day one. The kind of work we are doing. Like I mentioned earlier, we were hoping this time that we will meet physically, but and we couldn't even meet at Gymkhana. You couldn't make it that day.
Yes,
but
right.
soon, I think this COVID things will be over, and we'll create new opportunities at AOE to meet physically. Right. So really look forward. Thank you so much for sharing these wonderful lessons from your life.
Pleasure. Pleasure.
And the official vote of thanks will be given by Baljit to Naveen.
You're muted.
Thank you, Naveen, for your presentation. It was sharing a long journey with us and the type of fun we had together doing business and otherwise. Those were the best days, one should say. And thank you for your speaking about your great journey. And we all have our journeys, but we enjoy knowing and sharing our journeys so that others can also learn from it. Thank you once again.
Thank you so much, Baljit.
Thank you.
Thank you.
The next session, I believe, is opportunities and ask. Anybody would like to share something or any asks? Or we move on next to the General Secretary report.
Yeah, I just wanted to know that this is probably the first time that we have invited people to share products which in this case, I thought it will be a great help to our colleagues. Now, I wanted to know that from all of you that we should continue having such educative, speakers or say once or twice a year, so that they can educate us with the new products which come in the market and are useful for all of us. For instance, this card, I have suggested it to my clients because like Mr. Handa said that you will get a record. Number two, it doesn't go to your personal account because I had to fight one or two cases where the money went from the company to the salaried person's account and they claimed it to be an income. So should we? What is your view on it? Whether we should bring in such people now?
Baljit, when you had mentioned this particular case, I value your wisdom. So I thought you were going to call somebody for the reason that it is going to be beneficial to all.
Very true.
So
very true.
I think from time to time, the managing committee who is responsible, the person who is giving advice, and you can discuss and you have to depend on his judgment, because I also had a problem dealing with my Imprest account many years back. My Imprest account in a particular company where I was running Delhi office for that company was 50 times my salary, right? And it was all going in my savings account. I had trouble then. My company helped me. But these kind of solutions, if they were there, it would have been a huge help even then.
Very true.
Right. So I think it was valuable. Anybody else?
I also think the same.
Yeah.
In line that such products will, if we get to know about it, it will be very helpful.
Yeah.
Because what you rightly said, even in my company, we are having Imprest account for 10, 15 employees, and every time this sort of problem pops up.
Yeah.
Sometimes also I have seen that they use it for personal use and then they are unable to pay at the time when it is possible. Here, it will be difficult because you can always keep a control over it.
Also, I realized today that my daughter, who is now in Ireland, I have to change her account to an NRO account. I was not aware. Right?
You know, it is a good thing. I have not done it in both my children's case, but yes, it is essential to do it.
Yeah. Some point
and the solution, like when your daughter went to Ireland, if you had the things ready from here, then you would have been less worried. So in my client's case, what I do is that I open the account here and in Canada or in UK before they leave.
Yeah. I remember having given her the Euro card from here. And of course, I did net banking transfer to her from here without going to the bank. Right. So
But it is always 2 rupees more expensive than what these people give it to you.
yeah.
If we know them, then you can, it is cheaper to send it through them.
Okay. Okay. Next time.
Yeah.
Next time. So that leaves us with treasurer report. Treasurer, are you listening?
Yes, sir.
We need your report.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. The AOE membership costs rupees 12,000 per annum. The invoices for current financial year has been generated and emailed to everyone. I request all members who receive information on their membership dues to please clear them at the earliest. Members who have already paid, I thank them for making their payments on time. AOE membership payments can now be made through debit, credit cards, and wallets also. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I would like to thank everyone present today at 115th AOE meet. Thanks to our guest speaker, Mr. Vikas Jain and Mr. Sumit Handa for sharing important knowledge, and thanks to Baljit for getting them here. Thank you, Past Chairman Naveen Sardana, for sharing your learnings. It was really nice. Thank you, Mr. Sanjeev Narayan, for sharing words of wisdom. I have taken a note. I hope I can follow them. Right. Thank you, AOE mentoring team. Your work is very important. Hoping it gets better in these times to come. Thank you, all the members of managing team for being so involved and readily available whenever they're required. Sincere thanks to Tejinder for doing excellent follow-up and excellent work. Just one more thing, one-to-ones have never been easier now that even a Zoom meeting is considered a one-to-one. I hope and to see more one-to-ones. Can I schedule a one-to-one with you, Sanjeev? I want to learn a little more whenever it's possible. I'll send you a WhatsApp message on that. I can't hear you. I think you are
Most welcome.
Yeah, okay.
Love to do that.
I'll schedule this. Anybody else would like to make a commitment of scheduling with someone? Vikas?
Yes, I would like to do with Neeraj Bhargav, sir.
Done. So this month you are doing
Sure,
it.
sure.
And
Sure,
Naveen sir?
Yeah, I'll definitely, I'll tie a one-to-one, don't worry.
Our next meeting is on 21st May 22. I hope things get better and this COVID news story changes by that time and we can take a better decision. But meeting you on Zoom is also very nice.